the morning to you, Werewolf Army, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm making a St. Patrick's Day special today, but of course you know what channel you are watching. This is not going to be regular St. Patrick's Day. We are going to delve into scary St. Patrick's Day. As you can see, nice and festive right behind me there. Lest we forget that St. Patrick's Day is not the only Irish holiday. In fact, a much bigger and the best holiday is also an Irish holiday. Yes, Halloween is in fact an Irish holiday. Why do I bring that up? Well, first off, you're watching a Halloween channel on St. Patrick's Day. Of course I'm going to bring it up, but also it just goes to show that the Irish created the scariest day of the year, Halloween. Obviously, they've got some pretty scary things in their folklore, and that is what this video is about. Today we are going to be delving into 5 of the scariest Celtic monsters from Celtic Irish religions and folklore, I should say. We're going to start with, I believe it's pronounced the Dullahan. The Dullahan is basically the Irish version of the Headless Horseman. So what's more spooky than that? The Headless Horseman that we have for Halloween here in America, the Irish, I mean, they made Halloween, I'm not very surprised. They have their own version of the Headless Horseman called the Dullahan, who rides around on a black horse carrying his head under his arm. So this one does not have a jack-o'-lantern, of course, like the Halloween one in the United States, popularized by Washington Irving does, but he just carries his head under his arm. I think one of the most unique things about this one, though, is that it calls out the name of who's going to die as it rides by, which I think is really creepy, and I think it's, not only do I just love headless ghosts in general, but this guy, I think the fact that he calls out the name of the person who's gonna die is really creepy. One interesting thing about Celtic monsters is a lot of them have to do with prophesizing death and who's gonna die next. So that's a very interesting thing. You'll find that in a few of these, actually, is one of the biggest things that they do, which I find very interesting. But the Dullahan is a really creepy guy. He's also said to whip his horse with the spinal cord of a human, and he's also seen riding with the Banshee at times, which I will get into the Banshee in just a moment. Next up, we have the Kelpie. The Kelpies I think are pretty creepy because their horses, basically it's a horse that lives in the water and has seaweed on it. It's called Kelpie for a reason. And it's creepy looking enough if you've seen pictures of these, which I am going to provide for you. It's creepy looking enough, but even more so what it does is it entices people to ride on its back, and then it rides them into the water, drowning them to death. It's a pretty cool monster, I think. I think the Kelpie's one, I think it's definitely one of the most well-known ones. I've heard of it before, even before doing research for this list. I think it's definitely one of the creepiest Irish or Celtic monsters there is. Next up, we're going to talk about one that isn't necessarily evil, but I still think it's creepy because it's a shape-shifting, could you call it a demon? I don't know. It's more of a fairy or a sprite. Like I said, it's not evil, but it is mischievous. This one isn't even evil, but I'd still say it's borderline pretty scary. It shapeshifts between cats, I think rabbits, one of them, goats, human. It's a weird looking creature. It is the Puka. It's very, very strange. It's very weird looking. Like I said, it's not evil, but it is mischievous. One thing about it is it likes to talk a lot, I guess. So what it does, some people leave like a bench out front of their door and they have conversations with the Puka. And there's also, it can turn into a horse, and what it likes to do is have you ride on its back and then do absolutely horrifying things as the horse, like jump over things that you think you're gonna die just to mess with you and to freak you out. Though it's not necessarily evil, I think the fact it's mischievous and just plain creepy looking, I think lends it towards going towards some of the creepiest Celtic monsters. I mean, imagine this thing just sitting on your doorstep and having a conversation with you when it looks like a half goat, half cat, half rabbit, half human thing. I mean, it's pretty creepy. Next up, we have the most well-known one, which is the Banshee. Everyone knows Banshees. Of course, they are most well-known as the Wailing Ghosts, because they are screaming ghost women, basically. But there's more to them than that. What they do is they go outside the homes of the people who are about to die, and if it wails 3 times, then someone in that house is going to die. Banshees are really cool. I mean, they have definitely found their way more into American horror culture than any of these others, I think. Last but not least, we have the, I believe it's pronounced Slough. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's pronounced Slough. These guys are this evil sinners of the dead is basically what they are, and I think they did exist before Christianity came to Ireland, and then when Christianity came to Ireland, they became known as the evil sinners of the dead, so, or evil souls of the sinners is what they are. They are sinners, of course, in life that have passed on, and due to that they are doomed to roam the earth. And I think it's out of, some things I read said it's out of anger, some things it doesn't really have a reason, but they steal the souls of anyone who crosses their path, and they fly in swarms. So these are basically just ghosts, but ghosts that steal souls along the way because they're vengeful that they lost theirs, and so they take others. It also was noted that they usually gravitate towards the souls of those who have found love more often. Ireland has some really creepy stuff. As they brought us the best holiday of the year, Halloween, it's no surprise that they have some of the scariest monsters out there. I do think they might have some of the creepiest monsters. I mean, some of these are really downright creepy. Hope you all have a spooky St. Patrick's Day, and you best steer clear of these monsters today. Don't just look out for mischievous leprechauns, because you also have all of these horrifying creatures who will actually kill you roaming out there today. So stay clear, especially those of you in Ireland. Keep howling at the moon, my werewolves.